Hi, I'm Larry Sprung, and today we're going to talk about 5 things I wish I knew in my 20s about investing. Today we're going to go over 5 things that I wish I knew when I was in my 20s because it would have set me up for success much earlier in life. So I believe if you follow these 5 easy to implement things, you're going to put yourself in a position for success. So my first point, start early and let compounding bring you joy. Now, you may be thinking in your 20s that you can't start investing, that you don't have enough money, that you're going to wait until you have a more secure job and higher income. But I would argue today is the day to start saving, because when you have that higher income, when you have that more stability in your job, you're also probably going to have more responsibility. So let me share with you a story about Emily and Dave, because I think this outlines the importance of you starting today and starting early. Let's say Emily started investing $200 a month at age 25, while Dave begins the same amount at age 35. By age 65, Emily's savings now grows to approximately $400,000. Compared to Dave, only $200,000. Nearly double, despite the fact that Emily, she only ended up contributing $24,000 more than Dave. That is the magic of taking advantage of the benefits of starting early and compounding. There's a reason why they call compounding the 8th wonder of the world. Now let's shift from Emily and Dave and let's talk about real life for a second. My boys are 19 and 22, so they're right in your wheelhouse. And let me show you how we practice what I teach. At age 14, when they started working, because here in New York, you can only get working papers starting at age 14, they started saving at that age into a Roth IRA. Now you may think that, they're well ahead of their time, and I would argue that they're in an excellent position because their dad is in the profession, but at the same time, starting to save early at the age of 14 and getting an extra 10 years ahead of Emily, think about the impact that that will have for them. And if you're a little bit older like me, impart this wisdom into your young teenage kids as well. So point number 2, budgeting. Oh man, budgeting. To some, it's a dirty word. To some, it's freedom. And I would argue budgeting is freedom. It's not a punishment. There are studies that show how using online budgeting platforms impacts financial satisfaction. Those who use digital budgeting tools experience significantly higher financial satisfaction. Now, let's think about this. It doesn't sound like a lot of fun keeping track of your budget. You may think it's a method of restricting yourself, but it doesn't have to be a restricting element to your financial path. In other words, a budget doesn't have to restrict you when you craft it thoughtfully. It empowers you to enjoy financial control and confidence. By having a thought out budget, it will give you the power to spend on those things that give you the most joy, because it will also shed light on those things that you're spending on that may not be bringing you joy, or they may be something that once brought you joy and no longer does. Cut those things out. Redeploy those cash flows to areas that do bring you joy. So don't use budgeting as a method of restriction. Use it as a tool to empower you and bring more joy to your financial journey. Let me share you a story where budgeting really empowered somebody. We had somebody that, probably like you, had been hesitant, resistant in fact, to review her budget. When she finally did, we identified a monthly charge of almost $200 a month that was being directly debited from her bank account. And we're not talking about this being done one time or for a month, but it was going on for about 3 years. And she had no clue what it was for. After taking a look and investigating it further, we learned that the charge was for an insurance policy. But get this, it was for an insurance policy that she didn't have. She didn't own. It was somebody else's policy. We ended up walking her through with her and her bank to successfully get $8,000 refunded that she should never have spent. The point here is, if she had sat down on a regular basis, reviewed her budget, and optimized it for joy, this charge could have been found very early on. Now, the best part of the story is it was fixed and she got the money back, but imagine this went on for even longer periods of time and perhaps it didn't get refunded, or perhaps you never found it. Number 3, credit cards aren't free money. They're joyful tools when you pay in full. I mean, the reality is high interest debt can hurt your goals. But when you pay your balance each month, your cards become powerful allies. First, you don't have to pay the bank any interest because they're really the people or the institutions that benefit from you carrying those balances each month. You get no benefit. And if you pay it off each month, you can use cash back, points, or miles wisely and watch them add even extra fun, joy, and values into your life. You don't have to let those things go to waste. Here's where people fail. They use their credit cards, they build up the debt, and then they're stuck paying interest for a very long time. In many cases, years and years to come. There are studies that show back in 2022, US consumers earned $41 billion in credit card rewards, but left $6 billion unredeemed. Don't be that statistic. That's real value slipping away that you can use. And according to Bankrate, about 23% of rewards card holders didn't redeem any rewards at all in the past year, meaning billions of dollars in unused perks. So listen, if you use these cards wisely, you can create joy by not having to pay the bank or financial institution interest, and then create even more joy by utilizing the cash back and points that you're going to receive from the company to have more joyful experiences. So let me share some of the benefits that come with paying off your credit card each and every month. Now, I know I'm not in my 20s, but I do practice what I teach, so I do pay off my cards, and I find joy in the benefits that my family and I have received as a result of being loyal credit card users and paying them off on time. Some of those things, we've gotten things like free flights, plenty of upgrades. Instead of flying coach, we've gotten Delta Comfort or even first class as a result of points and utilizing those upgrades. I think one of the biggest benefits that our family has seen is the ability to pack our bags, our luggage when we travel, to up to 70 pounds. I mean, you know that 50-pound limit when you're going away for a nice vacation, it's tough. How many times have you been sitting at the airport trying to juggle stuff from one case to another just to meet the 50-pound minimum? Well, I encourage you, that 70 pounds, it's a game changer. And not to mention all the free hotel stays and other perks. My family and I just went to Aruba this past summer and we did it all on points. So use the card, use it wisely, and use it to your benefits, simply to create more joy in your life. So number 4, also a very crucial thing to think about is build an emergency fund. We all have those emergencies. We all have those things that come up in our lives that require financial capital that we were not expecting. Now, keep in mind, when I say emergency fund, I'm not talking about that last minute trip to the Caribbean. I'm talking about a true emergency, an issue with your roof, an issue with the car, an issue with a bill that came out of the blue that you were not expecting. You know, research shows that most Americans, many Americans, are not prepared at all for unexpected expenses. And this is where the emergency fund truly comes in handy. Only less than half of Americans have enough savings to cover 3 months of expenses, which means if there's a loss of a job, a big car repair, that could put you in a financially vulnerable situation. Having this fund to cover expenses, and the amount that you have on the side will vary from person to person. Some people may need 3 to 6 months, some 6 to 12, some 12 to 18. A lot of this will depend upon your personal preference. What's your level of comfort with having 3 to 6 months? If you're not comfortable, boost that up to 6 to 12. Make sure that you have enough money on the side in an emergency fund to satisfy a true emergency. It will provide peace of mind and allow you to enjoy life even when expenses arise. So let's share a story from my own personal situation where an emergency fund came in really handy. And it just happened recently. Imagine going down to your basement on a Friday night. Now, many of you know I'm a hockey guy. I was actually going down to our basement to sharpen my skates to go play in a charity hockey event. And to my dismay, I walked into the room in the basement to a flood, water everywhere. Ended up going back into the boiler room and there was a pinhole in one of the pipes. And I hadn't been down there for several weeks, so it must have been spraying water in there for a good 3 to 4 weeks. So you could just imagine the cleanup that we had. But here's where the emergency fund was super helpful. I didn't feel pressure. I didn't feel concerned. Was I annoyed? Sure. It was not a fun 6-7 hours cleaning up that basement and getting it back to where it was pre-leak. But financially speaking, it took the pressure off because I knew I had that emergency fund to pay for it. And it wasn't something that I had to, redo my budget on or ask for a loan or put it on a credit card. And at the end of the day, the repairs were made, didn't impact any monthly expenses. And then we just worked to build that emergency fund back up. And that's really what the emergency fund is all about. It's there to use when you need it and build it up after you use it. Point number 5, experiences deliver greater moment-to-moment happiness than material goods. I think we've all been out and about shopping and buying things. And, a lot of times, many times, we end up getting home with these items and a week or two later, we find that we really didn't need it. We no longer wanted it. But the thing is, spending on experiences, research has shown yields significantly more in the moment enjoyment than spending on material possessions. I mean, simply put, people get more in the moment enjoyment from experiential than material. At the end of the day, that is what life is all about. We have those experiential moments and they live with us for decades to come. Think about those stories, even in your 20s, from your childhood, places you visited with the family, events you went to as a family, sporting events, theater, whatever that was for you and your family. These are things that have stayed with you up until this point and will continue to stay with you well into the future and will be stories and experiences that you will be able to share with the next generation. Prioritizing experiences have enriched our lives, really making us richer. And instead of focusing in on material things or parties for special occasions where they'll only last for a couple hours, we've decided to implement experiences, whether it was going to South Africa or Alaska, or for the holidays, going to Nashville as a family. These are things that are going to stay with us and memories that we'll have as a family, and also so many great stories that we'll be able to share with generations to come. So these are just 5 things that I wish I knew in my 20s. If you have more questions, we'd love to hear from you at Midland Financial, because we strive to bring joy to your money journey. And be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our new videos. We'll see you next time.